Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Another Thursday morning. This one falls on the 30th of March. The end of the financial year is just around the corner. All you business owners out there, I hope you've got all your ducks in a row, all your accounts are ready, you're spending the last bits of money in the pot before the end of the financial year clicks round. And if you live in the UK, then you hopefully you put your clocks forward, spring forward, and there's a spring in our step. It's lovely to have a lighter evening. And then, my friend, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Good morning, everybody, and welcome, to the breakfast show. Myself and Nick. Clock's gone forward. Makes a big difference, doesn't it? Lighter evenings. A bit more time when you're kind of looking out the window in the evening time. Fabulous. However, when I'm getting up in the morning, it's a lot darker. Of course, those days are stretching out a little bit now. 2 minutes per day is what we gain roughly each day, an extra 2 minutes a day, right the way through to the July the 21st. And then guess what? It starts to get darker again. But we look forward to the positive side. It's going to get lighter until middle of July time.
Well, don't worry, ladies and gents. We'll remind you when doom and gloom is around the corner.
No doom and gloom on this show. We've had a look through the news this morning and we've decided no headlines, no news, because there's nothing that really captivates me when I flick through the headlines. It's just, no, leave it alone. Leave it alone. We'll talk about more great fun stuff here on the show.
Lots to talk about. Lots coming, ladies and gents. Big news coming your way as well. But today's show is all about authenticity, ladies and gents. Okay, as always, the show is about you. Authenticity. We'll talk about what on earth is it in a second, but it will be lovely to hear from you when we start rattling on and exploring authenticity. It'll be great to hear back from you, what it means for you, what it looks like for you. Do you feel as though you are authentic when you turn up at work or when you go home? Are you your authentic self? And if so, and here's the key, can other people hear it in you?
Yes. Can they feel it as well? Can they feel the maybe the emotion, the authenticity that you give off?
So we've been on tour, haven't we, mate? It's been bonkers. The last 6 weeks we have been certainly all over Essex, working with various organisations. Quite a lot of individuals have been through the ant and deck magic that is Mr. Bell and Mr. Luby. It's been phenomenal, but incredibly busy, and a lot of the sessions have included an authenticity exercise, and I'm assuming you've all read my book, right? So you know where we're going with this. Okay, it's in the book, so you're all aware, no problem at all. However, right, if you've been banging on the doors of WH Smith's or Waterstones and for some reason they've run out of copies, you may not know the authenticity t-shirt exercise. You've seen it a few times, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, once or twice. More so over the last 6-7 weeks. I've seen it quite a few times now.
It's quite impactful, huh?
It definitely wakes up the room, yes. They wonder what crazy thing we're getting them to do at first. But once they get into the idea and they kind of drop their guard a little bit, wow, it has some major effect on the individuals in the room. It really does.
Like a lot of the stuff, right? It dawned on us over this tour. If you've ever seen David on stage, or been lucky enough to spend good time in his presence, you'll know that David will change your world. All right, listen to the stuff he's got for you. He'll change your world. If you've ever seen me on stage or had plenty of time in my presence, you'll realize I'll change your life. Right, that's not a bad gig, right? If you and I turn up and work with a team, right, our show, we'll say what we like, right? We'll change your world and change your life. The authenticity t-shirt is one such exercise. This is how it works, ladies and gents, right? Do this at home if you wish, or just follow along and then add into the chat thoughts thoughts and ideas around this. So everybody gets a t-shirt. All right, nice bit of paper, blank sheet, basically authenticity t-shirt. Okay, and what I'm looking for from my audience, I'm looking for them to put down on their t-shirt in words or pictures, just a few words. It doesn't need to be too many, but it can be illustrations if you wish, the absolute essence of who you are, the totally authentic version of you. So much so that if you were walking down the street, right, wearing your authenticity t-shirt, and someone you knew was coming the other way, they would recognize you by your t-shirt alone. Or you went down the gym, right? You've had a good workout. You've left your authenticity t-shirt hanging on a hook, and someone who knows you well comes into the changing room, looks at the t-shirt, and thinks, I know exactly whose that is. And you take as long as you like to fill in your authenticity t-shirt. Some people really struggle because it's a tough question. Who exactly am I at my deepest, deep core? Some people, they know really where they're going, and the ideas, thoughts, feelings just flood out. And in groups, we once everybody's completed the t-shirt, we share. Right? If you wish, you can share what's on your t-shirt, and it's a beautiful experience. It's one of those experiences you get to know someone on a level that previously unexplored.
It works wonders, absolutely wonders. And what I think is amazing about it, if the ambience in the room is correct, which, bear in mind, we're working with leadership teams in organizations that are trying to take their organization, their business to the next level. And when we come around to doing this particular exercise, they've kind of loosened up a little bit. They already know each other, but now they really get to know each other. And lots of them, start to put their heart on their sleeve. They start to tell the room, their peers, their fellow friends and colleagues, things that they would probably never have said before. And it's just amazing. Over the last few weeks, we've come close to tears. The emotion runs high, but in a really positive, vibrant way. And it's just amazing to see how people really start to share their deepest thoughts. And let me tell you this, you wouldn't have known this about me, but let me tell you this. And everyone's like, wow. It just changes the dynamics of a leadership team tremendously.
If you've ever been on the receiving end of the authenticity t-shirt exercise, ladies and gents, please feel free to comment. I know some of our regular listeners, fans of the show, they've been on the show as well. I've been with them in the room, and we've done the authenticity t-shirt exercise, and it life-changing, right? Life-changing, because it's very rare, certainly in a work setting, that you get to reflect on exactly who you are. Now, for some, right, some people struggle. Right? Don't be surprised if a lot of people that you work with, a lot of people you come across, they have this t-shirt. They wear this with pride. Now, a lot of people wear this with pride. You try and help them out, but they don't really want help because they thrive on being a victim. Right? If you've got one of those in your group, in your tribe, in your team, or in your friendship group, you know who they are. Right? The sort of people that will moan and groan about stuff, don't never do anything about it, but they moan and groan because they really, oddly enough, enjoy the sympathy they get of being a victim. The woe is me character. Okay, definitely not me, right? I wouldn't wear that t-shirt. I don't think I ever have. If I moan about stuff, I'll fix it. Okay, so this is my t-shirt, mate. This is what you get if you get the full-on authentic Nick, right? Let's get these conversations flowing. Here we go. All right, this is me. Okay, and if you know me, and you would recognize this t-shirt. Okay, if it was hanging up somewhere, oh, that's Nick's t-shirt. I'm quirky, all right? God, am I quirky? I think I'm getting more quirky with age. Now, I don't know if that's an age thing, but I don't mind it. Fun, right? I won't do anything, right, unless the organization is courageous, and it looks like it's going to be fun. That's nice. Optimistic, ridiculously optimistic. Okay, far too optimistic, probably for some. Optimistic to the point that it could be a pain. And solid, absolutely solid, reliable. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. All right, very, very reliable. So quirky, yep, fun, optimistic, solid. All right, and I'm not saying authenticity t-shirts won't evolve over time. Of course they will. People grow and in different directions, and it's wonderful. However, right now, you are a certain essence, and if you are courageous enough to communicate in that way, I find audiences love you for it because it's genuine. You know, you can trust someone who communicates exactly like their authentic self. And I do that from stage. You know, I swear a bit, but that's fine, right? That's just me. If you don't like it, then okay, that's fine. I can't please everybody. And I'm now thinking this is probably why I don't get any speaking bookings. They daren't book Nick. But yeah, that's me. That's me.
Too quirky. That's why you don't. Nick, he's too quirky. Do you want to see mine?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Here it is.
It feels like quite an indulgent show, this. I'm loving it.
Look at that.
All right. Talk me through it.
Okay, so family. Big one for me. Family just sits at the top. Everything, my life revolves around my, my immediate family, my son, my daughter, my wife, even down to the cats and the dog as well. Fun, like you, Nick. It's got to be fun. Running a businesses for near on 30 years. If you don't have any fun in it, God, how boring and laborious would it be? Tech geek. I love my tech. I love the technology. And I feel myself a bit geeky at times. I like to geek out and learn the new stuff and what's happening and what's coming and what's cool and what's not. Organized, bordering, if you ask my wife, I've put in brackets OCD. So there isn't an element of OCD. That's what she says. I just think it's been super organized. Then we have trust, very trustworthy. If someone asks me to do something, I do my best at all stages, and I would be very, very disappointed if I let somebody down knowingly. Of course, we're human, so I might forget something, but if I say I'm going to do something, I get it done. So I like to think I'm very trustworthy, and someone can talk to me and confidentially, and I'll keep it quiet. I don't like that gossip side of things. No fear. I don't, and I haven't, and maybe a challenge that's out there. Because one day maybe someone will find that fear, but I don't believe I have any fears. I have no fears of insects, animals. People have fears of spiders or buttons. We had this conversation at one of our
buttons. Yeah,
buttons. So people have fears, but I don't believe I have any fears that I've come across to date. I'm happy with heights, enclosed spaces, and yet to find one. So if someone wants to challenge me, and as long as it's reasonable, it can be done, then I'll give it a go.
Hell of a show that'll be, won't it? Find David's fear.
Yeah, there you go. That's the new brand for the show. Moving on, you can see I've got my family down the bottom here. Okay, so my drawing skills should be on here. Lack of drawing ability. A heart on my sleeve. Okay, so I'm quite open when need to be. I know when to keep quiet and not share, because not all the time is it about me. So I know when to keep quiet. And then over on this arm over here, I have empathy. Now, everybody needs an element of empathy, and it's something I need to work hard at. I know that sometimes I lack a little bit of empathy, so I know I need to work on it. My wife tells me you lack empathy, so yeah, I take it on board. I have to work a little bit harder, think about making sure that I don't think I lack it, but obviously I do because I'm told that. So and finally on there, I never switch off. I suppose it's just a very entrepreneurial thing. I can relax, don't get me wrong, but my mind is always somewhere doing something, thinking of someone or what's next week, what's happened in the past, always kind of reliving what's happened. Can I do it better next time, and so forth. And then finally, sunshine. For me, that's important. A bit of sunshine. Love a bit of sunshine, but also like the snow as well. So blue skies, blue sky days, sunshine, snow, pair of skis. beer in hand. Whoa, magical.
Who's that guy coming down the slopes with a beer in his hand?
Won't be the first time.
That's Fearless David. That's a great T-shirt, mate. I think I would recognise you by that T-shirt alone. That's a very authentic T-shirt, and you're right. You're more organised than anyone else I know. That's really handy because I'm less organised. But that's a great team collaboration there. And yeah, you don't seem to switch off. Which may be an issue at some point, but yeah, you get stuff done. Right? You get lots of stuff done. At this point, it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it, to bring May King, our FOMO queen, into the studio to ask her about her authenticity T-shirt. But she's, I would say, got a better offer, but she's busy. Right? She's on tour as well. If you're running a conference and you want someone to generate FOMO, fear of missing out on your behalf, before, during, and after the conference, May King is the place to go. Right? And she is busy working a conference, which is fantastic.
So she sends her love, and apologies that she couldn't be here this morning, but she's kind of whipping things up, ready for the launch of the conference today and tomorrow as well. Thanks, Graham. Yeah, that's my authentic self. Heart on sleeve. You can see it's all there. And maybe other people will be inspired to start putting their authenticity T-shirts together as well. Or just jotting the ideas down. If you haven't got... in fact, I know you've done this, Nick. The real T-shirt. They could actually get a real T-shirt and some kind of washable, non-washable markers, and they can actually create their own authenticity T-shirt for real, not just on a piece of paper.
Yeah, people buy branded T-shirts because they like the look of them. What's better than a T-shirt you design yourself that speaks from your insides out? How cool would that be? How cool would that be? Wouldn't it be fantastic, right? If there was one day a year, right? We all have an authenticity T-shirt. Let's just assume that, right? We've all created one. And for one day, the same day, every year, everybody wears their authenticity T-shirts, right? So wherever you go, whoever you see, you get to know the real them, right? Good, bad, or indifferent on their T-shirt. How many conversations would that spark? What an open world we would have if just for one day only you could really kind of reveal who you really are to the world. It might cause a few question marks, but I think we would be better off because of it. And Graham's absolutely right. Authenticity, a key leadership trait, along with integrity, of course, and other things. Leaders out there, you can't just get away with one or two. There's quite high demands on you and the things inside.
Mm-hmm. Authenticity leads really neatly into values. Another exercise that we've been running over the last 8 weeks with all the groups that we've worked with, all the different organizations, and get them to really dive into their values, which is kind of what comes through in some cases on your authenticity T-shirt. Your values are you. And again, the values of an individual is really interesting. And what we did is this particular exercise. So it's like the authenticity T-shirt. We got them to take a list of nearly 400 different values. So we gave them a list of 400 values and said, siphon through this list, highlight the ones that stand out and are you. And once you've got out of your 400, you've probably narrowed it down something between 20 and 30. That's typically what comes out. Then we said, right now, create your top 10. So now they've got to do your top 10. And now create finally your top 3 with the priority or big value being at the top, which for me is family. And again, it focuses on my authenticity T-shirt. So that's what I'm saying. The values do come into the authenticity T-shirt very, very well. But I think the magical part is when you do this with a team, like the authenticity T-shirt, you start to see the real individual, the real person. They start to open up. And what you notice is that the values in a room of leadership groups are very similar. Not the same, but very similar. And it is an absolute eye-opener. You start to realize that all these people in the room have got shared values. And those values are almost, ingrained into the company values as well. It's amazing how this works, that values bring people together. Not always are they exactly the same. We don't want everyone being a mirror image. Of course we don't. We want to, have a little bit of chalk and cheese, but it works wonders. It really does demonstrate that how strong teams are, and the good teams have lots of aligned values. Doesn't mean, by the way, if you're odd one out, that you shouldn't be there. Just to make that clear, just in case you ever do this exercise and you're the odd one out in the room, doesn't mean you shouldn't be there. But there could be reasons that you might not feel you fit quite well because you're in amongst many other values, different opinions.
Yeah, you're so polite, mate. You're so polite.
Well, I've got to be like this is aired live all around the world.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you're right. A group of leaders traditionally will have aligned values, but diversity of thinking, right, which is really healthy. Okay, they might think differently, but at their core, their values will be similar. And certainly that's what we find on our tours, and we're working with groups of managers or leaders. And I'll tell you something else, mate. If you want Nick and David to work with your team, your company, then let me tell you, we represent excellent value.
We do. Yes, absolutely.
Am I allowed to add a pun into the show? Well, of course.
Not?
It's our show. Everyone's tuning off right now, going, "Oh, the ego in the show today is off the charts." Yeah. Things are changing, aren't they, my friend?
They are, yes. So we're going to have to apologise in a roundabout way because Nick and I are going to take a couple of weeks out, but for very good reason. We're going to be off air for the month of April, partially because it's 2 weeks of Easter for those that are celebrating. And remember, family is one of my top values, and I'm jetting off on annual leave for a couple of weeks with my family. And where I'm going, there's going to be limited connectivity. So that's one reason. But more importantly, the big reason is we're going to rebrand. Chatbox Productions is still Chatbox Productions, but we are moving from the Business Breakfast Show to the All-Day Breakfast Show, coming to a screen near you. And we'll be relaunching as of May. So our first show back in May will be our new look, our new feel, our new brand. And that's where we're taking it all, and we're repurposing it, and we're turning, not only do you get to see us and hear us live across all streaming platforms, but we're packaging it all up and we're turning it into a podcast. So that's super, super exciting. And we're moving into a global US market as well. We're working with a podcasting network called the Marketing Podcasting Network, and we're going to be broadcasting across their channels on a weekly basis. So it's really exciting, lots of great stuff. But it's all about evolving, development. And of course, that's what we're doing with businesses. So we're going to do it with our own. We're going to move this to the next level. Turn it up a gear.
I'm very excited, mate. I'm very excited. The All-Day Breakfast Show, a global show, which will deliver all of the treats that you expect from the Business Breakfast Show, plus a lot more. At some point around the globe, it will be breakfast, and we will be delivering a feast for you. And people enjoy different breakfasts around the world, so it'll be a right mix of cool stuff on video and on podcast versions. So, ladies and gents, there's an opportunity for you. Get in touch with us. What would you want from an all-day breakfast? What do you look forward to? What if you went for an all-day breakfast? What would be the thing that you tuck into first? What do you want on the show? Okay, there's no point doing the show if you're not invested as well. Let us know. Okay, let us know. We'll give you a shout out. We'll let the audience know that you've contributed. This idea comes from that person. This idea comes from that person. I tell you one thing: an all-day breakfast show will deliver guests from across the globe. So we're gonna go big into America. Thank you to the Marketing Podcast Network. Very excited to do that. So don't be surprised if a lot of our guests will have an American twang to their accent and look a bit bleary-eyed because it'll be a different time of day for them for the all-day breakfast. But yeah, would love to hear from you. I still think there may be a chance if you've got a top tip to squeeze it in to top of the tips. Chatbox is first published book. So yeah, if you're sitting on that top tip, especially if you've been on the show, right, and you've shared your top tip with us, fill in the form, send it along, and don't be surprised if your top tip is in the book. Can you hear? I'm excited, mate. It's so excited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you've got a top tip, I've just popped it into the chat.
God, you're good. You are very, very good. What was on your t-shirt, right? You are good.
Yeah, organised. Bordering OCD, as my wife would say. But yeah, if you're interested, we're still just putting together all the top tips. We're still considering more top tips for the book, so do get in touch. And we're hoping anyway. Well, I say we hope we will be bringing a second edition. So if you don't make it into the first edition, then you're already on the priority list for the second edition, which will be coming at some point soon in the future. Maybe the second edition, maybe we'll put it at the end of this year, early next year. I don't know yet, but let's get the first one out there.
Get the
first one out there on the bookshelves, on the Amazon store, ready for people to download the digital version when that hits, and the paper version and the hardback version. And I'm going to love to do the audio version as well. We'll get round to doing that at some point. So much to do, and like most, just not enough time in the day. But yeah, look out for that.
Hence, taking April. Let's say taking April off. That sounds rather grand, doesn't it? No, just focusing all of our time and energy on what the show might look like, what the book might look like, and what the future might look like too.
Excellent. Well, there you go, Nick. I think we'll call it a wrap today. With half-hour show, we are trying to shorten our shows up, getting ready for the podcast editions that will be coming as of May, and. Well, authenticity is what it's about. Let's not ramble on. Let's not waffle on. Let's leave them with the final thought of, what does your authenticity t-shirt say about you? Does it really give the true story? If someone found that t-shirt hanging up on a peg in a gym, or maybe you left it in the changing room, would they know where to return it without looking at the name tag? I hope so. Be you. Be great. Be fantastic. Bye-bye from me.
And cheerio from me.
See you soon. We're back in May.